I was planning on talking about the Vince McMahon stuff, but I was waiting um, until I gathered all the facts and everything. I didn't want to just go out there and just start making a video about something that I don't at least have most of the details about, right? If not, I try and get all the details I can at the time about it. So that's why I haven't talked about the Vince McMahon stuff until now, um, because we got. I look. I wake up this morning and I just so happened to listen to Busted Open Radio. I listen to them. I try and listen to them whenever I can. Just to get a Hall of Famer's perspective, which is Bully Ray's or Mark Henry's. I don't really Tommy Dreamer. I like Tommy Dreamer. No disrespect to Tommy Dreamer, but sometimes he can be a little overly positive about things. Same for Mark Henry too, but Mark Henry still tells it like it is for the most part. But Bully Ray is the main one that I listen for his opinion, because I'm like, if anybody's gonna at least be real about shit on a platform like as big as SiriusXM, is gonna be Bully Ray. And anybody who's been a fan of this channel, or has been following this channel for the past few years, I hold Bully Ray's opinion a little bit higher than most people's. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I got 5 minutes into this interview, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna do a reaction. You guys know how I do with the reaction videos. I don't plan to do reaction videos or anything like that, but already you got Dumb and Dumber on here. You got Bill and Ted from the Wall Street Journal on here, and they already woke up this morning, and they pretty much just said, y'all ready for my bullshit today? That's what they did. And so I got 5 minutes of this conversation. I paused it. I had to log into my SiriusXM account, which was a hassle, by the way. So hope you guys like this video. But anyways, make sure you guys hit that like and that subscribe. We about to listen to Dumb and Dumber on here. And by Dumb and Dumber, I'm not talking about, obviously not Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca. I'm talking about Bill and Ted from Wall Street Journal.
Of course, the two articles that came out from the Wall Street Journal, and we're lucky enough this morning to have both writers that were a part of both stories from the Wall Street Journal. We have Joe Palazzolo and Ted Mann, who join us here on Busted Open. We talk a lot about pro wrestling. I don't know if that's in your wheelhouse, but obviously with the Vince McMahon story, it doesn't really matter. And
Never mind.
There is a lot of accusations that are going out there and going around. Like, for first off, for you, Joe, how long did you know about this, and how long did it take for you to know about this, do the research, and then put pen to paper?
Yeah, so we sources told us it was in April that WWE's board was investigating this $3 million agreement with a woman.
Notice how they said sources. They didn't say who it was. They didn't say it was one of the members of the board of directors. I'm pretty sure it was. Sources.
Who worked for McMahon. And so it basically took from April until we published our story to firm all that up and get additional sources and understand what it was the board was doing.
Guys, why the need to run with this story?
Well,
you're wrong.
A couple of reasons. First of all, the Wall Street Journal covers public companies. WWE is a public company. This is clearly a governance issue, right? We write for investors.
And WWE is a public company. Wall Street Journal covers public companies. But every time Wall Street Journal wants to talk about WWE, it's always in a negative light.
And when the board of directors is investigating something like this, and I mean it's pretty interesting, right? So the board, which it's a 12-member board, and 4 of those members are insiders, meaning that they work for the company, and then the 8 are independent. But when it comes down to it, Vince controls the company essentially. So there's a governance issue. It's important for our readers.
Governance issue. within WWE of the board of directors. Governance issue. That, my friends, is the fucking problem. And by problem, I mean that's their problem. That's Wall Street Journal's problem. They want to make that. Look, Vince McMahon is not following the agendas. Although, yes, I believe creatively his growth has stunted creatively when it comes to wrestling. It really has. He's a freaking genius. But if you're going to try and push this man out, you're going to try and push him out in the nasty, I wouldn't say the nastiest way possible, but one of the nastiest way possible? By doing this?
Understand what's going on. And then we sort of knew that these allegations, while the company is, saying that this is a consensual relationship that he had with this woman, we started hearing about other issues that were not consensual. So, we feel like those are things that need to be reported as well.
And I would just add one thing to that. And, as Joe said, it's a public company and we're operating in an environment where there is very little tolerance for any sort of relationship of this type between a CEO or an executive and someone who is a subordinate, even if it is consensual, because the power dynamic that exists there.
Even if it is consensual, it is still our duty to bring justice. You guys heard it here first. Wall Street Journal is now Wall Street Justice.
Is something that has proved to be really dangerous for the more subordinate person in a company. And so that's one of the ways in which, all public companies have been representing that they're not really going to allow things like this to be swept under the rug anymore. And certainly in this case, when it's something that was a total secret from the board, at least for some members.
Vince McMahon kept a secret from the board of directors.
We find it interesting, and that makes us want to go digging and find out more.
For both of you,
that's what they do. Sounds about accurate. Sounds pretty accurate.
Joe and Ted, your two articles have garnered a lot of conversation. First and foremost, the first article, because you're right. I am the father of a daughter and I have a wife, and you hear about these issues and problems that have been going on for so long in the business. And
what a fucking dork. Like, dude, of course. Like, nobody's saying that you can't bring your kids around Vince McMahon. Nobody's saying you can't bring your wife around Vince McMahon. Like, this is, again, I'm not condoning any of the shit that Vince McMahon did. But what I'm saying is it was consensual sex, and now they're saying, oh, now we're hearing that some of the stuff wasn't consensual. Okay, if it's not consensual, obviously, I'm not condoning that shit. Obviously, Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon. But it's funny how this shit is happening now. That's the focus I'm putting on this shit. It's like when all this shit is happening, it happens. It's the fucking upside down clown fucking world. This is cancel 101. This is pushing CEO out, pushing whoever is in charge out because they're not following the agendas or not pushing enough of the agendas or pushing the agendas fast enough. And here you guys are consuming all that shit. Vince McMahon did what? Oh, get him out of here.
The workplace. And obviously when I first read that article, it's like,
what about the kids? What about my wife?
All right, here is somebody who's a CEO of a company, and then somebody who's being hired, and I'm guessing from the article, somebody who was hired and then given a raise based on a relationship. And that, as a father, that's exactly like you going back to what you were saying, Ted. It's a responsibility issue as well. So it's almost like there's a pressure here where this story needs to come out at some point.
Can you describe when did you find out about the $7.5 million payout, and what were your initial thoughts coming on the heels of the $3 million NDA payout to the paralegal?
So we found out about it after the first story published. Obviously, I mean, sorry, I know that's kind of, it's not probably as specific as you want. But so we just to go back a little bit, while we were reporting out the first story, we heard allusions to other agreements that had happened. And so there were sort of women who were on our radar as potentially having been in these agreements. And then, we just continued to report that out. I don't, we have a call list of like more than 100 people that we've bothered at this point. And so we learned of the agreement from a source, last month. And then we continued to report it out.
Guys, and Ted and Joe, obviously, in our circles, we've been talking a lot about Vince McMahon and these allegations. But I was having a discussion over the weekend with my wife, and who's not a wrestling fan, and she's kind of surprised that it's not bigger news than what it is.
Why would you want this story to be bigger than it already is? Why?
Maybe if this was like a Major League Baseball owner or an NFL owner, like this would be like the top story everywhere. Is it because it's wrestling? And listen, I love wrestling. It's my life covering it. Like, do you think it's because it's pro wrestling that it's kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of fallen under the radar a little bit here?
I think that's a really excellent question. And I think it's linked to something that we heard a lot, or I guess I saw a lot, like on Twitter after the first story. There were a lot of reactions saying like, oh, well, what do you expect? Or people sort of saying, well, look at the character he plays. The character he plays is essentially the same guy that this reporting depicts behind the scenes. And there was this sense of, amongst, again, not everybody, but some people, that like this shouldn't be so much of a surprise because, they say they're wild and crazy. That's the whole brand. And they say that they're sort of flouting norms and conventions. That's the whole personality. But yeah, no, I think it's a really good question why this wouldn't, maybe has not broken through as much as it would if we were writing about, I think an NFL owner is a good example, like where there's there's a big scandal about sexual harassment at the Washington football.
Yeah, Dan Snyder. It's just
it's a great comparison.
How do you guys feel about Vince still appearing on television after these allegations have come out?
I guess I don't have, he's going to do what he's going to do. It's not going to sort of affect what we're doing in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I guess what I'm more interested in is how does the talent feel? How do his employees feel about him doing that?
How does the talent feel about Vince McMahon and these allegations? Do they care? Do they really care is my question.
And I would imagine it doesn't, I think that there's a range of opinions about what's going on, but I would imagine it doesn't go over very well with them.
Joe and Ted, I don't know if it's official, but I've been reading now, there was supposed to be a documentary from Netflix, a bio movie about Vince McMahon, and those plans have now been canceled. I don't know if that's official, but that's what I've read. Do you think are going to start seeing pressure from outside? WWE puts out a lot of content over a lot of different areas. Disney, Peacock, Fox. Do you think there's going to be implications from a lot of those content providers over these allegations from Vince McMahon?
I think, again, you're raising valid questions that we can't quite answer ourselves, okay. But certainly, I think that the owners of those platforms, especially the big public ones like Disney, they have staked out their own sort of position on how this sort of thing would be handled within their company. And I think one of the realities of capitalism is if you have a business partner who's doing something that you would say is inappropriate, you're going to expect to get a question or two from a shareholder, from a reporter. So I'm sure that's something that they're considering.
There it is, folks. There it is, folks. You got the Wall Street Justice begging Disney, asking Disney, put something out about this.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I would just add that, you guys are asking, before, like, about the story about it breaking through. And I think it would break through a lot more if we start to see business partners asking the questions that Ted talked about. And of course, we don't know, if that'll ultimately happen.
I never understood why would business partners care about this? I'm genuinely asking. Like, I'm not even chastising. I'm just genuinely asking. Why, if I'm a sponsor, like, why would I care about what the fuck Vince McMahon does? Especially when they tried to get him on the whole, he paid for the, this NDA with company money. He didn't. Now they couldn't take him down that way. Now they're gonna try and take him down this way. And if this doesn't work, then they're gonna throw some more shit at him. I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen. They do it all the fucking time.
But I this cannot be something that they're not paying attention to, right? I mean, they might, anyone who's doing business with the company is paying attention.
In reference to the first story that broke about the paralegal and the NDA that was signed, I would assume that the lady or any of her representatives weren't the ones to come forward to disclose this information. Where, I know you're not giving up a name, that's not what I'm looking for. Where did this initial information come from?
He said something very important there within his question. He pretty much said, the woman that we talked about a month or two ago, about the 3 point whatever the fuck $million that Vince McMahon paid in the NDA that they couldn't get him on spending on company money, that they couldn't get him on spending the company money. And then they found out, he spent his own money on it. And it was that then, there, and that. And that situation was done and over with. Oh, yeah. She didn't come forward with that shit. It wasn't her. It wasn't her people's. It wasn't her and hers. It was someone else. Possibly a member of the board of directors.
How did it get to the both of you? How did it come across your desks? And why?
Yeah, I mean, so we're just not going to talk about sourcing like flat out. So that
the Wall Street Justice. They love giving out names and throwing people under the bus, digging up old stories from the past. But when it comes to giving out their sources, they have none.
it's not confirming or denying that we talked to anyone. And sorry to be evasive.
You're not being evasive. You're just not a journalist.
We are in the reporting, and obviously, from reading the stories, these are largely anonymously sourced, and so there's a lot of things that we have to be wary of right now.
But we do know where the board first heard about this.
Yeah.
These anonymous emails
that
began arriving at the end of March to members of the board of directors. Someone claiming to be a friend of the woman who is the subject of the first NDA that we reported about, and laying out a lot of the basics of what we confirmed and reported in that first story. And those emails were essentially saying, I'm not asking for money. I'm going to make this public. And so we do know that the board heard about it was this anonymous emailer saying, I know about this and it's bad, and basically saying that McMahon had taken advantage of this woman.
Has there been any pushback for both of you? Because obviously pro wrestling fans are very rabid, and Vince McMahon is the biggest figure in pro wrestling in the last 40 to 50 years. Have you had any kind of pushback just from fans and how fans could be? They don't care about the facts. They don't want what they love being hurt. Have you had any of that at all?
Oh my God. So now we're about to hear two guys that aren't associated with pro wrestling talk about pro wrestling fans. I cannot wait to hear this.
So I haven't really, and it's odd. So what I see is sort of like the anti-McMahon crowd, and then his fans very much fighting, and you can see people saying, someone who was saying you can't defend Vince McMahon anymore, and then she's tweeting that after I tweeted that, I just got 3 DMs from people saying I should kill myself, but we haven't seen any of that.
By the way, if you're one of those fucking idiots that are telling people to go kill themselves over shit like this, You are the problem. You're not part of the problem. No, 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 no. You are the fucking problem. If you're telling someone, if you're promoting any kind of fucking violence towards somebody for their fucking opinions, no matter who they are, we don't play that shit around. We don't play that violent game on the internet or around here, man. We don't do that. So if you're one of those people that tell people to go kill themselves and slit their wrists and shit like that, or tell people like literally fucking physically harm themselves or physically harm other people, yeah, you're the fucking problem, and you should be fucking booted. You're bottom of the fucking barrel. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. With that being said, some of y'all need to stop fucking crying because you get criticized for your fucking opinions. We all get criticized for our fucking opinions. Trust me. We all do. Suck it up and move on. No one's ever gonna 100% agree with you. No one is. So, again, it is what it is.
Directed at us at all. Well, I don't want to speak for you, Ted, but I haven't seen anything. We get like a normal amount of emails from people every time we publish a story, saying various critical things, but no more than usual.
Oh, we get criticized for putting out stories and no fucking sources. But we're journalists. That makes sense.
No, it's a really good question. I expected more, partly because I used to be a political reporter in Connecticut. So I covered Linda's first Senate campaign. And man, I heard from a lot of wrestling fans then. I think if I had to guess what one of the differences is now is so much of that campaign of Linda's involved like really organized criticism of the WWE content itself. So the fans were hearing not just that Vince McMahon, a guy affiliated with a show they like, had done something wrong. They were hearing that the show itself was bad. And I think that was much more of a personal affront if you're a wrestling fan. If you're saying, hey, like what I'm watching, I don't feel is degrading to women. That's one of the charges that was made a lot in the Senate campaign. So then I heard a lot of pushback from that. But then at the same time, also a lot from people who were sort of disillusioned fans. This time around, it's been quieter than I expected because as I learned then, like, yes, this is a rabid fan base, to put it mildly.
This is a rabid fan base. I'm assuming neither one of you are wrestling fans. More allegations on the horizon?
I think that yes. I think that it's probably not done yet, and we're continuing to report.
What?
Right. So yeah.
Might have to go back.
Cool to get to know the world though.
More allegations on the horizon?
I think that yes. I think that it's probably not done yet, and we're continuing to report. Right. So yeah.
In saying that you're continuing to report, would there be something bigger on the horizon than a $7.5 million NDA?
No, well, I can just say we don't know of another 7.5 million NDA, if that's what, so.
He said bigger, you fucking dumbass. Anything bigger than that. See, we know the fucking story. First of all, I'm not shocked, but I am surprised that they're already saying there's more allegations coming. They're telling us, right? Plain as day, bro. Plain as day, they're telling us there's more allegations coming. What did I just tell y'all just a few minutes ago? If Plan A didn't work, then Plan B might work. Plan C will for surely fucking work. Oh my God, dude. Look, I hate being right. I hate being right when it comes to this shit. This is nothing new. It's just happening in wrestling now. And I told y'all for the longest time, it was eventually going to get there. It was eventually pro wrestling was eventually going to get to where Hollywood is. We are now going down to the bar of Hollywood. It's unfortunate because I've always been a big fan of both. I grew up on both. And now we've seen it happen in sports. We've seen it happen in Hollywood. Now we're seeing it happen in professional fucking wrestling. Vince McMahon is not following the direction that the world powers, or, the larger powers, aka shareholders, aka board of directors, who I'm sure were appointed by the shareholders, but that's a whole nother different story for a whole nother time. But I cannot believe that they just admitted there's some more shit brewing for Vince McMahon.
But again, still
Similar situations though.
no. All I'm saying is you're asking if like something bigger than a 7.5. No, that's not something we have in our back pocket. Like we sort of like left it all like out on the
That's not something we have in our back pocket. I'll just leave that there.
field on this story. And now, there's a couple of things that we didn't, that we're still reporting out, but it's iterative.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the case, as happened, in similar scandals elsewhere, that there are people who have something to share who become a little more emboldened to talk about it once.
Oh, you mean how like somebody gets 24 sexual assault cases all at once from like 8-10 years ago, all at once? You mean how that shit happens? You mean how Vince McMahon gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 allegations all at once in a 1-month span? They're giving y'all the blueprint. I know I use that word a lot, but it's true. And my vocabulary is very limited. They're giving y'all all the ingredients of what they're doing. And it ain't nothing new that I'm saying here that I haven't said before, whether on here or on Comrades. They're telling y'all everything now. They're saying, hey, that we gave y'all everything. That we don't have that in our back pocket. There's more allegations. Yeah, there's more allegations brewing. You needed Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray to press you just enough for you to admit you got some more shit brewing for Vince McMahon.
Some of the first coverage has happened, and we're still working to figure out if there are such people out there.
It's been very tough for me as a fan, guys, because Vince McMahon is such a big part of what we do on a day-to-day basis, and anything that you watch.
It's so hard for me to sit and watch Monday Night Raw knowing that Vince McMahon had sex with women outside of his marriage, consensually, and paid them off. If Vince McMahon had sex with a hooker and paid a hooker $3 million, I would not give a shit. If Monday Night Raw is still dog shit, I would still dislike Vince McMahon creatively, which I do. Like I said, Vince McMahon creatively, yeah, I think he should no longer be in charge of creative. But then again, like I said before, the grass may not be greener on the other side if this happens, like everybody's hoping for. Because y'all are willing to burn and sacrifice a man. If there's some real nasty shit that went on, then obviously, no. Get him the fuck out of here. Same thing. Look, it's the same thing with the whole R. Kelly thing. Like, if he's nasty as fuck and doing nasty shit, get him the fuck out of here. Nobody needs that shit. But so far, you're saying grass is green. So far, you're saying a man, a CEO, a billionaire, had sex with a woman that worked for him and paid her off. I mean, morally, unmorally, whatever, lawfully, is he gonna, whatever. None of my fucking business to even say whether that's morally wrong or right or whatever. I'm not here to even talk about that. I'm here to say he's being pushed out for a reason. It ain't for the sexual allegations. It ain't because of that.
With the WWE, Vince McMahon is connected to it. It's kind of like, I'm torn. As a fan, I love the content, I love the company, I want to watch, but at the same time, it's hard for me to get invested in something when I know these types of things could even possibly be going on. And
It's hard for you to get invested. No. It's hard for you to get invested because Liv Morgan beat Ronda Rousey in the middle of a fucking wrestling ring. And then we're going to get a rematch at SummerSlam. That, my friends, is what you call robbery. That, my friends, is what you call... That is the reason why it's hard for me to watch professional... I don't know about you guys, but that is the reason why it's hard for me to watch professional wrestling. Or to watch WWE. Reasons like that. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar facing for the millionth fucking time. Except this time it's different. It's a last man standing match. That's why it's hard for me to watch WWE.
I'm sure there's a lot of fans. Like, I think there's myself and a lot of fans that are hoping that it's not true, that these accusations are not true, these allegations are not true. But I almost feel like at times when there's smoke, there's fire. Am I just being naive, thinking that at some point everything's going to be okay, and that it's not true at the end of the day?
Well, yeah, Ted, you go ahead. You look like you're going to say something.
I think that's a natural human reaction. Right? Like it's certainly a natural reaction of fandom, of, like fandom of a sport or or an entertainment product or a team or a band. I think it's very natural to think, I don't want this to be true. We can only go where the facts that we can establish and confirm lead us. And so we know that there have been this number of settlements at least, and for this amount of money at least. It's a lot of money. And we can't presume to know any more than where that leaves us. But certainly there's been a sort of a succession of issues that are all very similar over a long period of time that are being hushed up with a lot of money. And people need to sort of evaluate that and make the judgment that they do from it.
Yeah, and like I can't sort of give fans any sort of advice or solace here. It's like, it's not my place to. But
here's the thing: I can be a fan of someone and then find out they're a sicko and be like, yeah, get them the fuck. Like I've said, get them the fuck out of here. We don't want, like, if you're a sicko and you're doing nasty shit, or you're doing weird shit, or you're doing illegal shit, get them the fuck out of here. They axed him down, or tried to axe him down publicly, and then found out everything was done by the books. And then we went on with our lives. He was trending 1 month for a few days. The story didn't go anywhere. I shouldn't say the story didn't go anywhere. He made a few appearances on Raw and SmackDown. We got over it. We moved on. And then they said, oh, no. We got more information. We got to push this out. Then y'all got him trending again a month later. A whole month later. Trending again.
These are, whether it's talent or employees, folks that are part of the WWE universe. And they're saying that a lot of people, a lot of people don't want to talk to us and see us talking to us as sort of a betrayal of the industry, right? Or that, like, this is so harmful to the industry. And I guess I would just say, look at what we were talking about the NFL before, which has had multiple sex assault scandals recently, and you have the owner issue right now with the Commanders. Like, NFL, like, it is still the most popular sport in the country, right? They still make billions of dollars. Like, you can sort of separate the league from the actions of individuals or the alleged actions. Like, this is not to say that WWE is shot through with horrible actors. I mean, it's just our reporting has not shown that, right? So what Ted said, we can only sort of go where the facts lead us, but I don't think it's necessarily right to conclude that if Vince McMahon did some of the things alleged, that means that like WWE is the worst for it.
And I that's another thing too. I don't think people should be looking at WWE in that light because of Vincent McMahon. Whatever Vincent McMahon is accused of, whatever even comes to light that Vincent McMahon did or did not do, should not ever affect the actual company. And I said that since day one. I never understand why. This is the whole reason why I said that earlier about the whole sponsors and shareholders. Why should they give a fuck about what Vincent McMahon is doing? It has nothing to do with the company of WWE. It really doesn't.
Good point.
Joe, Ted, if you could interview Vince McMahon face to face, what would be the first question to ask him?
Why did you do it? Why? Why?
I think we'd ask him why he paid all that money.
Oh, he did say why.
And whether he paid any more money.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Dumb and Dumber over here, bro. Why did you pay all that money? And did you pay more? Good cop, bad cop, right? Did you pay more? Did you pay more money?
I mean, what's right is right, and our heart goes out to any victims, obviously, that had to endure.
Did he just use the V word? You really got to be kidding me. Dave LaGreca really said his heart goes out to any victims of Vince McMahon. We don't even know if any of this shit is even true. So I'm guessing the Vince McMahon cancel party has begun. I'm guessing
this during their stay with the WWE, and we'll continue to look out for further articles from both you and Joe and Ted. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's difficult. Appreciate you stepping into our world. And
he said, "I know it's difficult." Look, I don't need to go anymore over that fucking interview, whatever. I'm gonna say this. There's a little bit that we actually learned from this this interview that they did. We got more. I think we got more in this video than I thought we were gonna get, because they literally just said there's more allegations brewing. There's possibly more money. They say they don't know yet. That's not in their back pocket, but there's possibly more money. They know if these two attempts don't work, you know they have something bigger between them and the board of directors. We know there's something bigger between them and the board of directors. But look, I don't want to say too much about the situation because, again, we don't know if any of this shit is true or not. So that's why I've been waiting to make a video about the Vince McMahon. But I was listening to this interview, and I had to listen to Dumb and Dumber, Bill and Ted from the SJW, WSJ, the Wall Street Justice Society. Because a lot of shit that they said was idiotic, obviously, and I knew that was going to happen. This isn't real journalism. They're saying, oh, you know, we have all these details and this and that, and now we're looking for more people that even had sex with Vince McMahon and blah, blah, blah. And they can't cite any fucking sources. So, except for they said that a member of the board of directors received an email. So anyways, man. But when it comes to the perception of WWE, this has nothing, like the whole thing with Vince McMahon has nothing to do with the perception of WWE. And if you look at WWE because their CEO has done that, because the CEO or the owner has done that in the past, fam, you got to do some soul searching, because Disney has 10 times as many dudes like Vince McMahon, if even the shit like Vince McMahon is even true. So again, it would be very hypocritical for Disney or any of these other shareholders and sponsors tweet some bullshit like that out of, we don't condone this and that of Vince McMahon. I'm sure they're not going to name drop him anyways, because, again, nothing has come out as factual except for there was an NDA. So, look, make sure you guys hit that like and that subscribe. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the situation. This is a very, very sticky situation. And again, there's not much more I can really say until there's more details, more, factual details that come out. Not just, the Wall Street Justice is coming on here just spewing out bullshit. and not citing their sources. So hit that like and that subscribe. It's your boy Corn. I got more videos coming at y'all. It's Half Fast Pod. I am OUT.